All right. We are live. It is Wednesday night. I'm in the central time zone. It's 8 o'clock. Brigham's out west. It's mountains, 7
Yep.
o'clock, right?
7 o'clock.
And this weekend is the Summit Games. I guess it's the first year of the Summit Games.
It's the first year up in Salt Lake now.
So if for those that are familiar or not familiar, last year you were involved with a competition that was called the Iron Games and had been for a few years. How many years were you guys involved with that?
Yeah, so we started that 5 years. Previously, had been running that. 2019 was the first year that we ran the Iron Games and did some YouTube with the Buttery Bros and did the famous close off the street, did the clean and jerk on Main Street and a swimming event and football field and doing a 5K through the student athlete campus on SUU. So yeah, that was the first year, and then just been growing it there. Went into a horse barn the last couple of years, and have moved away from that now to the Zions Bank Training Center up in Harriman, Utah, and really excited about the indoor turf facility and nice and clean, and just really excited to have a bunch of athletes back and be in the Salt Lake community where a lot of it really started in the first place.
Perfect little synopsis of kind of how you've gotten to this point. And last year I came out for my first experience with you guys at a competition. I worked with Feliz, who does a functional vision live streaming for a lot of competitions in Europe and a couple in North America. And Tommy Marquez was out there. Dylan Malitsky was out there. They kind of jumped on a little bit on the stream, but more or less we streamed the whole competition, however many days it was, and morning to night covered all the divisions.
Yeah.
It was cool to meet that community. It was kind of apart from us, any kind of a West Coast semifinals or something like that. I think it was the first competition I'd done kind of on the western side of the United States. Yeah. And then, you guys made the decision to change it up this year in terms of location, kind of back to the Salt Lake. And I think it's going to be a really awesome. I mean, Adrian Conway's still doing the programming. He was involved. How many years has Adrian been involved with the programming?
So Adrian's been involved since year 3. Yeah, since year 3. But really more year 4, 5, and then this first year of the Summit Games. So originally it started with Nick Fowler. So I was, hanging out with the Brute Camp.
I'm a big Nick Fowler fan.
Yeah, I'm a huge Nick Fowler fan. And yeah, just I came up through the Brute Camp when that was the group at the time. You had Nick and you had Adrian there, and Mike was still there, and
Mike Caju.
Yep, Mike Caju was still there. So Mike was my assistant strength.
Were you with Brute when they were winning the games?
So it was right after. So Mike Caju was my assistant strength coach at SUU when I was playing college football. And so when I got done and graduated in 2010.
What's the actual name of that university for people who don't know?
Southern Utah University.
Thank you.
Yeah, Southern Utah University. Yes, thank you. So when I got done playing, Mike, had been strength training me and recommended I go over to CrossFit Cedar City. And so I got into CrossFit and made the regional team in 2012. I was just right after they had their wins and everything that they had done with PAC and U CrossFit. But had been watching and I knew Erin Benyon. So Erin Benyon was on the UPAC team that won the 2 team championships, and she was married to the strength coach at SUU, Dan Benyon, the head strength coach. So there was a few different connections there. It was really cool to then get out of it and then get into CrossFit, find Brute, come up with Nick. I was doing training with them up at their camp at HQ at Nick Fowler's gym, Massive Athletics, and that was when we came up with the idea. And then Nick was there to be like, "Hey, I would love to do the programming and be involved," and that really gave me a lot of confidence in terms of taking it off. And then it just transitioned. Nick, things changed with Brute there, and Nick's an awesome guy, but yeah, we just moved on and did some different things.
That's cool. I love hearing little backstories like that, and I didn't even know all those details because, although most of the traveling that I do, they're like things that people see are the competitions that I'm live streaming. To me, it's really telling stories about communities of people.
I
And
love
those communities often have like deep roots. Sometimes familiar names like that pop up. Sometimes you make these connections and you don't even realize it. And all the conversations we've had, I didn't even realize some of those historical little crumbs
it.
along the way to lead to where you're at.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know how much time we have, so you can divert me whenever you want. But like another little nugget of that was everything really just happened really fast, right? So to the point where I even got a last minute plane ticket to go out to the games in 2018. Basically, I slept on the floor of Paul Bachman's room, who was the one of my that became one of my head judges, and then is this year doing the is running the stage directing, and sleeping on the couch, showing up with your bag, phone dead, not really sure where you're sleeping, and hey, like I know I got to meet these people, I got to see these people, I've been contacting them on Instagram, but like you got to get your foot in the door somehow, and you got to you got to put a face to a name. And so anyways, it was really awesome just to go out there, and the community is just so fantastic, to meet people out there and to make connections with Paul and with Nick or Mike Casu out there, and just be inspired for 5 to 10 minutes to then keep going, right? Always makes a huge impact on things like this when you're starting in the community. And I know you know firsthand about that.
Oh yeah, I've slept on many floors and couches.
Yeah.
And book these trips and not know where I'm going to go. So if you want to, learn about Brigham a little bit, you can go check him out. Brigham Nielson here.
Thanks.
I don't know how active you are on Instagram though.
I haven't been a lot lately. Just been really busy. Haven't been on social in that way.
I bet there's some gems back here though.
Yeah, there's some good stuff. Yeah, I had with the job transition. I started a new job, full time, and then doing this event and moving it from one city to the other. And my wife and I have been trying to start our family. We got 3 dogs, and we started a garden this last year. So yeah, been doing a lot. I've been a performance coach, and I'm like, so character building. We do a lot of character building, performance mindset, and team building with sports. And so I work with Woods Cross High School, and I work with their football team, and been doing that for about 5 years. So yeah, now you're getting back to when we started the Iron Games a little bit in terms of that picture there with me and my wife.
Look at this young man.
Yeah. So that's up at that would be up at FNX, Victory CrossFit. 801 CrossFit used to be there. They're now not there anymore, but it's where we were testing some of the workouts with Adrian and Nick, and yeah, it's been a while since then. But yeah, back then I was just gotten out of teaching and coaching for I was a high school teacher and had been working with PE and a few other subjects, and then troubled youth and keeping them in school, and then yeah, so I'm really into mindset, character development, things like that. So
Oh my goodness,
yeah,
look at
there's
these
me and Laws.
throwbacks, dude.
Yeah, those are some throwbacks for sure.
The long hair Laws.
Yeah, that's a fun one. Yeah, that was a fun year. Yeah, so that would have been, I think, the second year. That's my sister. Yeah, there's me and Tommy. That was cool. He and Chief are pretty good friends. So
Tommy, he came out and competed one year, didn't he?
yeah, so the first year he came out and competed, and then also when I was working for the Summer Games, running logistics and being the assistant director over there, when he came out and did some stuff for us, and yeah, he competed the first year, and then came back out in the third year, and then came last year.
Well, we'll get to Summer Games in a second, but you've said a couple times that you're really into the mindset stuff, and I also know from talking to you that you've worked with some different groups of people that in terms of sharing some of that and providing perspective. And to me, that's a critical part of not just who you are, but the community that you surround yourself with, and therefore also the kind of perspective that you bring to, organizing a competition like the Summit Game for a community of people. So I wanted to make sure to give you a chance to talk about that a little bit, because I think that even for people, if they're going to be watching this weekend, or if they're coming, or if they're curious, that's like, you can't really know Brigham without knowing that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and you can narrow me in, because I tend to get big picture. So Brian, narrow me back in if you need to. So I'm a pretty big believer of life is about setting out to do something or do things that you are really scared of, or you might be afraid of the judgment. You might be afraid of the unknowns. You might be afraid of not having all the answers, but you are able to, in your life, develop a process that helps you to stay in that game, to keep going back every day and doing those things that you do actually love doing, even though they may create this fear or this anxiety or this stress, this growth, if you will. Really, right? It's all about growth. And I think that there's this heaven, or magical place of flow, even in life, that we can find when we are losing ourselves in the process of doing something that we're, again, we're familiar with, but we're stretching ourselves to the next level. And when you have, a why behind that, then that becomes really meaningful. And that's part of where the Summit Games, the Iron Games came from, was like, life is about, if you will, a CrossFit workout. And in the middle of that CrossFit workout, you want to quit. And we know that the mind wants to make you quit at 40% of its capacity, based off of all the data that's shown, right? So what are you going to do? What are the setbacks that you're going to find? What are the reasons that can keep you strong to keep pushing through to these goals that you would like, that you say you wanted when you were comfortable? What are those things that you're going to be able to do to push through and keep going and keep challenging yourself, to find out what you're made of, to find out what are you capable of, and what is the impact that you can have, and what are you capable of learning? What is this human machine that we're going into the gym and working on every day? What is it capable of? And so that is something that I'm really passionate about. I think that our event and events in general are a great way to showcase that, to put us in on those environments. And I think that there are a lot of different ways to be happy. I think that that depression and suicide and loneliness and not feeling valued or feeling worthy or being seen is rampant. I mean, there's studies even with men on since COVID, that we're 20%, we're seeing 20% less of each other or interacting with other men. And so then we're having less opportunities to work through solving problems and communicating and working through our thoughts and our feelings and how we're analyzing things. And, I think communities, again, like ours and like others that I know you are a part of and have been to, Wadapalooza, even in SoCal with this first year was an amazing experience there. That, hey, we accept you as who you are, your highs and your lows, and we're here to help, inspire each other to take those next steps, whatever they are, to remind you of who you really are, and to remind you of the power that is capable within the human being that you are. And how can this weekend be the weekend that you look forward to every year to take those next steps?
Man, that's awesome. And I do think, I talk a lot about the power of a CrossFit competition, but really of just like signing up for something, of putting something on the calendar that gives you a purpose, that gives you a date, that gives you something to strive for. And that, whatever that thing is, you're probably going to make decisions in your life that prepare you for that thing. And if it's a thing that's difficult, then you're gonna have to make some choices to get in better shape, to eat better, to look better, to sleep more, whatever. And sometimes those decisions become habits, and sometimes those habits become lifestyles. And that can happen in the gym. It can happen through a competition. But the other thing I think that you really hit the nail on the head with there is being around people. When you go to these competitions, like it or not, there's hundreds to thousands of people that are around, and you have a choice of how much or little you interact with those people. But even if you say nothing to no one, you'll be witnessing things. You'll see other people. You'll see the way they warm up. You'll see the way they talk to each other. You'll see them with their families or their friends or their coaches or whatever. And those are powerful moments, and they have the chance to make change as well.
Absolutely. I think what we're doing here is we're choosing to believe in a concept that's a core problem or a core solution of happiness and connection and a meaningful life, right? This is not to say that CrossFit is the only way, right? What this is to say is that movement and connection with people is the way, is a gateway drug to happiness. And when we can create an atmosphere where we're really able to have empathy where everybody is at, because it's not about the elite athlete that just shows up, but it is about the elite athlete showing up who's also got their dad who's 80, who can't move or can move, and the relationship that's there, and trying to be exchanged, and the energy of, we want our parents, our grandparents to be around as long as possible. My grandmother just passed away this last weekend, with dementia that she had over the last few years, and she lived to 94 and a great and fantastic life. And she was at every sporting event, everything, right? And luckily that didn't happen really early on. Like, again, 94, that's awesome, but we know that those things are happening to a lot of good people that are needed for much longer in life. And this is about exposing people to the different remedies that are there to allow us to expand our vision of a happiness and a life that goes past 54, 65, all these different, life blocks that we've had. Yeah. In the 80s, the average life expectancy was 40, Brian. Did you know this?
Like 40 years ago?
Yes.
No, I would have believed that if you told me in 1920 that average life expectancy was in the 40s, but not in the 80s. Wow.
At least that's what a little bird told me. So maybe we need a fact.
Well, I know that the life expectancy has skyrocketed up. Well, I think you and I could spend a long time talking about these types of things, but I think that was also a good kind of foundation for people to understand that when you put on the Summit Games this weekend, there's a lot more going on for you, and there's a lot more meaning in the thing that you've created and built and the people that are a part of that than just workouts happening on a floor. And I know how important that is for you, so I felt like it would be remiss to not have it as part of our conversation here.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
If you're new to Summit Games at all, obviously go check them out on Instagram, the.summit.games. And, when you look through, if you just like kind of casually are scrolling through the Instagram here, you will see things that are pertaining to competition, like the schedule. And so here we can see it's on starting on Thursday with the athlete and volunteer check-in, running through the weekend. But a lot of these things on here are about community. You're about the, sponsors, these guys, for example, we work with them a few times. Some other ones that have been announced here, you see pictures like this, judges, volunteers. And it's like, to me, you see, of course you see some pictures of athletes. Here's Ava George, who won the RX division last year, teams, whatever. But it's like, you see a good blend of a lot of different things that I think represent the Summit Games. So go over there, check them out if you haven't. And I like this too. They're like, leading up to the competition, of course, there's people that are posting about it, and you guys are reposting, and there's people that are young and old and teams, and they're just practicing and getting ready. Team of 3 for these guys.
Yeah, really excited to add masters to the mix this year and have doubles, for teams. So that's been exciting.
Lynn, one of our biggest supporters, just offering that for you there.
Thanks, Lynn. Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
And I don't actually think that I was messing around here. Is this still up on the screen? Yeah, I was messing around on Competition Corner. So I don't think that the divisions with the leaderboards are all public yet. Maybe there's still some people
Mm.
signing up or whatever. But the workouts are all posted on Competition Corner. I think have they all been announced now?
Yeah, all the workouts have been announced. We haven't announced, the weight on the sled yet, but yes, yeah, yeah.
And when you're running competitions or leading up to them, do you have like what are your thoughts about when you release workouts and why you release them? Relative to the start of the competition. Do you have any intentionality with the order?
Yeah.
Do you like the athletes to know well ahead of time? Sometimes you like to hold some things closer to the vest. What's your general approach there?
Yeah. So, I think there's a lot of different ways to do it. Um, there's no one way. I think that ideally you're letting people know early on, like around registration and signups, because that's getting people excited. And then you are, adding to that through registration. Maybe there's a workout that you decide to, like in the past, we've had a workout that we've kept either fully private or a big part of it private. And or it's been, we've kept the cows secret, or again the weight on the sled that was going to be on the turf in the sun and we wanted to test it right before. um so I think, and then I also think it also depends on your crowd and your community. So for example, um I think it's fun to look at programming if you can get it announced throughout the season or through your season as like a game or a fun game with your community throughout the year. That wasn't something that I think we did this year. So not to be judged on that this last year, but something where you're announcing parts and pieces along the way to keep engagement with them, and to have fun with it. I think that that's a cool concept that I would like to do more of next year.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously there were a lot of changes for you guys this year, so
Yeah.
keeping the
Yeah.
programming kind of like. But this year there were no qualifiers of any kind. It was just
Nope.
you could just open sign up.
Yep.
And so in terms of programming, you didn't have to think about a pre-event or qualifying event in any way. It was just
Mhm.
the finals. And how early on do you personally start getting involved with the programming? Adrian's the man who's responsible for it, but like at what point does he send it to you? Hey, is this going to work? Check it over, whatever.
Yeah, so we started that typically at like the beginning of the year, so around in January, February, and then we're looking at it in March, for drafts on that. And so that's typically, been the process there. And then, yeah, and so like in the past, we enjoyed having, back in Cedar, we did more of an offsite event typically, and so we would have a big mass start. And so this year, that was something that we weren't doing, and so that was a little bit different. Um, and then in the past, too, with what we were doing in Cedar, we had um, a little bit more access to more stuff. Again, I knew the routine. I was more connected in down there. And so, yeah, with some of the equipment that we grabbed up here, some of the gyms have been awesome in the community to let us borrow some of that. So that's been great. And so once confirming that we could do that, we were able to for sure announce some of those workouts as well. So a lot of it was kind of along the way too, was like, hey, let's just make sure we for sure have access to these things as we go before we announce them.
Yeah, I think that sometimes people forget that it's not like they don't know about it. They just forget that like you can only program things with the equipment and space that you have. And
Yeah.
even on qualifiers, another competition that I work with, Fittest of the Coast, like they just announced their equipment for the qualifiers, and it's pretty basic stuff. Like there's a rower, a pull-up bar, barbell plates, a box, a wall ball, and that's like boom. And you can program a great competition or an online qualifier with that stuff. There's some other competitions like this year, the road qualifier. It included echo bikes, 100-pound dumbbells, and like these are things that in certain parts of the world are really difficult to come by. And so
Right.
you're narrowing the scope. Sometimes at a competition, you might roll up there or look at the program and say, "What the heck? Like there's 6 workouts and 3 of them are barbells," and it's like, why aren't we using dumbbells? Why aren't we using kettlebells? Why aren't all there's tons of variables that go into these equations, and competition organizers are not, very rarely, if ever, are just like being negligent of that. There's things in play. So you're much better off if you want to ask the question saying, I wonder why
Right.
they're using such limited equipment this year. It's
Right.
probably not because they wanted to in their dream scenario. There must be something else going on, you know?
So something that this year's really taught me about events is just like, or I guess even running a business, Brian, right? Is it's like programming for fitness. So we made a change. So our whole environment is shifted, right? So time and resources go to different areas, you know, um, and it's like your building blocks, right? Like you can only focus on X for for so much, and then you're going to build and keep going. So an example would be like, we got to this big, nice new venue. And so we didn't focus on maybe this as much in terms of the equipment or, hey, because of, X, Y, and Z, this is an opportunity this year too, where we're going to do some more running and shuttle stuff, which you see that in our programming. And that was something too that CrossFit HQ did more of this year too, was a lot of shuttle running and sprinting, and has really been a big focus in the community to push for more of that, and the youngness that we are really, again, if you believe in the true aspect of CrossFit and of this health and fitness thing, right? It's for us to be our own machines. And I agree. And Adrian and I have always been on this, I think, on the same page on programming and trying to create an experience and something that's a little bit different, right? I don't see you doing all these sprinting and shuttle workouts, on a high competitive level in your gym. Maybe in the Midwest gyms, or these, the bigger barn gyms, right? But out here where I'm at, we're not doing things like this. So, I'm really excited about what we have, and and if not that there's been that many haters, but no, I'm just kidding. But
Well, you
people
know how it goes. If
have their
there's 1,000 people that say a good thing and one that says a bad thing,
people
what
have
are we
their
going to cling to?
Yeah. But hey, the beep test is weird. Okay, well, I did that in college as a standard conditioning test,
Oh,
and
we'll get to the beep test in a second.
okay, yeah. So got it.
We've pulled up a couple I've had a couple workouts up here while we were talking. This one here, you say kind of that shuttle sprint you're talking about: sprint, sled push, sandbag carry, sprint, sled push, sandbag carry, sprint. And you mentioned that you don't have this, hadn't announced the sled weights yet. HCR CBD, who's one of the partners or sponsors with this weekend, is asking, what about the sandbag weights? Are these known yet?
Yeah, yes. So the sandbag weights, it's like yeah. So the sandbags are gonna be 150 and 70 pounds.
There's okay. All right, there you go. 150 and 70.
Yeah.
Cool. And this workout goes straight into a handstand walk.
Yes. So, and you heard it here first on B.Friendly Fitness on those sandbag weights. 150,
There you
70.
go. Yeah, if you're
Then
competing
yes,
this weekend.
I actually did this workout again recently, and yeah, that 150-pound sandbag is gonna be brutal.
Dude,
Uh,
at the Masters Fitness Championship last weekend, Masters. The
yeah.
youngest Masters age is 30, but I think up to 44 they had the 200-pound sandbags out, and from women from 30 to 44, I think they had the 150. It was wild.
Oh yeah, that's pretty. Yeah,
And
that's
I had a buddy from CrossFit Charlotte that drove up there with his family to compete. It's cool how they structure the competition, because like his workouts were in the morning. He had like a 9:30 and 11:30 workout, and then he was done for the day, and it repeated like that for 3 days. So his family was there, his wife and his kids, and like in the afternoons they would do hay riding or apple picking or something with the kids. So
yeah,
like, because we were able to like make a family trip out of a competition weekend because of how they scheduled that.
yeah.
And Taylor Self is at CrossFit Charlotte, and he's got a 200-pound sandbag, and he programs sandbag stuff a lot. But Luke was getting buried by that sandbag, and certainly he wasn't the only one. I mean, but that's good. Like it's exactly speaking to what you're talking about. Is that human machines? Like,
Right.
today I'm up here with my friends, and like 6-year-old and 4-year-old are running and jumping on me, and I'm just like, carrying them like sacks of potatoes around, whatever. You just got to be ready for it.
You got to be ready for the unknown and the unknowable. And and I know that obviously with with the tragic passing of Lazar and everything that happened at the games, there's definitely a question and an audit that needs to happen for everyone as to what we're doing and what we're asking these athletes to do. And I want to give a lot of respect to that, before saying the next part of where you try to find that balance as an event director to create some growth of like, I've never done this before. Is this possible? Can I do this? And so you look for those places where you can and where it makes sense to do that, but like safely for sure. And yeah, so if in terms of breaking that down, you definitely have to play with things with the sandbag that we're using. We have a ground to overhead. We decided to, again, with those 2 sandbag weights, we weren't able to get a medium weight. So we decided for some of the intermediate divisions and masters divisions that we would do shoulder to, we would do a sandbag clean. We would, ground to shoulder. So, because we didn't want those athletes potentially lifting that weight over the head, So yeah, there's areas where you have to.
Is that applicable for this? Gage is asking about the sandbag weight for the 3-rounder for front squats, ground to overhead.
Yes. Yes. Yep. That weight, the weights are applicable. Yes. So yeah, it's and that's, that's a fine balance, right? As an event organizer, always trying to keep that in mind for sure.
And I mean, what I'm hearing, and it's something that I hear a lot, is that competition organizers, and this even happens at the CrossFit Games, they want to put out some information, but there's also some information that it would be almost irresponsible to put out too early because they don't know yet. And there's also, I actually think that my kind of, if I had to choose like a favorite style of revealing workouts, like I love this this kind of thing. We're gonna do a workout. It's 9-6-3, clean and jerks, shuttle runs. Okay, what are the weights? Are they all the same weight? Are the weights going to go up? How far is the shuttle run? I don't know. We're doing 9-6-3 clean and jerks and shuttle runs. Practice. Be prepared.
Yes. I love that, Brian. I love that. Yeah. And like what I think, there's just like, cause there's so much, again, like there's game to it now, right? There's so much game to it. And like, how do I respond to that? How do I choose to train? How do I choose to adapt to mind? I don't know. It's like for CrossFit, we're trying to always train the unknown and the unknowable. And it's interesting, like as an event person and, like the announcements and the communication, it's like, I don't feel like it seems like maybe we don't always adjust to the change very well, because again, you'd love to like create change like that, or like a storyline even like that throughout the year, but you got to be willing to deal with all the noise that's going to come in as well.
This workout here, Mount Olympus, in 6 minutes, 9 deadlifts, hang cleans, 3 shoulder overhead as a complex. Prior to lift, athletes will begin 1 minute to load their barbell, which is great. I like that a lot. So you don't have to waste time loading the first bar. Let's be real. I mean, three lifts is the most that you should be doing in this.
Oh yeah, I would think like
probably 2 is a good place to be.
2 and like 1, for some, maybe you do like a semi warm up in the middle. Like if you're trying to jump up to the next weight, right? It's like, hey, I'm just going to do a couple deadlifts, 1, maybe 2 cleans.
I'm going to just throw this out there for people.
Yeah.
Get a weight on the board. Like get something on the board. Ask Bill Grunler.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you got to get.
Were you in Carson that year?
Yeah, no, I was not there that year. No, I wasn't there that year.
Oh man, I took my dad. It was the last year in California. It was the first year that I went to the games. He decided he would go with me, and he was really inspired by the masters divisions, because he's around 60, 58, 60, something like that at the time. And I told him, I was like, dude, wait till you see this guy, Bill Grunler. Guy's a savage. He used like 44. He was competing and trying to make it with the guys. Maybe it's it's South SoCal, and he was getting close with these like 20 and 30-year-old guys. He's just gonna crush it. And he just got eliminated from the entire competition because in the clean, I think it was a clean and jerk event, he didn't get a weight on the board. So I guarantee there will be someone who does not get a weight on the board. Don't be that person.
Guaranteeing.
Oh my God, dude, there's always somebody.
You're guaranteeing. Okay, so whoever doesn't get a weight on the board gets to come on Brian's show, right? Or gets to do something.
They're coming straight over. They're coming straight off the floor to the broad-cast.
That's right. Yes.
And we're gonna out them out there.
Yeah, we're gonna break it down. What were they thinking?
It should not happen.
Yeah, that shouldn't. No, I'm excited for this one. I know again, and where Adrian and I have been on the same page with things is with the high rep max there. There's been a bigger look at strength and how important strength is, not just a 1 rep max strength, but true strength is, over time and the ability to repeat that strength. And so really excited to see what happens. I know I saw Drake Lewis doing this the other day. I don't know if it's still on his story or not, but I think he at least had 275 on there.
Well, Drake Lewis is, I mean, what did he do with the overhead squats last year? I mean,
5.
Yeah, he is a when it comes to those types of lifts, like don't worry too much about what he's doing. Do what you're doing.
Right. And again, that's cool. That's a part of why I'm doing this too, is like Drake was an athlete I was lucky to coach in high school with football and teach. And so, there's a lot of that way for me. So really, yeah, we started coaching him right after he got into CrossFit. He was my first test study that I did with Nick. So then I coached him for 3 years one-on-one. And then at the end of the 3rd year, I was like, hey man, you're out of my league at this point. You need to get you with Adrian. And so, yeah, really been excited to see how much he's grown since then.
All right. So we got, we've with the workouts we looked at, obviously we have a strength test. We had that kind of strongman sprinty test, the handstand walking is gymnastics, pure gymnastics. And now here we have the beep test. And I got to say, I was a crazy good runner growing up. Swimming was like those were the things I was good at. And when the beep test came around at school, you had the whole range of people like me and a few of my friends that were like super excited about it. And we were trying to beat the test. Like that's how good we were at it. And then there were people that would go until they couldn't walk anymore. And then they'd just sit down. Like they just could care less about it. And I have to imagine that when this gets announced in the world of CrossFit, that you get the full range of responses from people who are like, yes, finally, I've never, I haven't done this since 8th grade. And now I get a chance to do it. And I love to run. And this is so sick. And there's other people that are like, you got to be effing kidding me. Yeah. The beep test, forget it. I'm going 10 minutes and I'm sitting down.
Yeah, there's been quite a bit of feedback on this one, and I would say most of it has been whining and complaining, to be quite honest. But it's just, again, like it is mentally tough. It's a mentally tough thing. Like you got to choose to keep making a decision to move faster, and your mind's got to speed up with the clock, right? So you're going to start out and it's going to be slow. It's like you can shuffle jog from side to side, and you just barely got to be ready for the next beep and then go, and it'll be easy. And then it'll start to get to a point where you're like, it's just like you're warming up, right? So this is where the science actually comes in. This is where your warm up and your cool downs actually matter, because, at some point you're going to get into that 70% where like, can I maintain a conversation while I'm breathing? And the longer that you could do that, the longer you can last in the beep test. Right. So we'll see.
Lynn is saying, for us internationals, please explain simply what the beep test is.
Yes. So the beep test is you will start on a line and 60 meters away. 60 feet or 20 meters away from you. You're going to sprint and try to make it to the other line before the next beep. And with
you run as fast as you want to, you just have to beat the beep.
You just have to beat the beep, and you can run as fast or as slow as you would like. Now, when it starts out, the beep is every 8 seconds. So again, you have 8 seconds to go. But on level 7, after so many beeps, now you only have 4 seconds. So now you have to time that sprint, and you got to touch that line or get across that line right when that beep hits. And then you get into a point where you're going basically max capacity. Like, I can't really sprint any faster, because if I sprint faster, I am going to like sprint all the way through the line, and I'm not going to be able to do the next sprint. So I've got to match up this sprint to turn and run. But if I run any slower, because I'm like pretty tired at this point, I'm going to miss that line and I'm going to be out.
So it'll be, I think it's cool. And I have heard over the last 10, 12 years that I've been doing this, occasionally people will throw things out like this. I want to see a mile run on the track. Well, we got to see that. I get
Yeah.
to see, I want to see the beep testing competition. I want to see a 500-meter swim. Well, we got to see that in 2016. It was in the ocean, but it happened. So like, and like slowly these kind of benchmark things have popped up in competition somewhere. She says, pure suffering. Got
Yeah,
it.
definitely. Definitely. The mind is just going to have to keep saying, I'm capable more than I thought I was. And, as athletes, again, and where we say CrossFit is valid or valuable, is we've got to see where we match up on these different repeatable, historic tracking of tests. That's valid.
Here we have switchbacks. This is a much more kind of a classic Metcon that you'd expect here. I guess there's 4 implements of gymnastics, toes to bar and muscle up, bar muscle ups for the elite, and then double unders, relatively small amount, snatches, moderate weight for the elite divisions, but 6 reps at a time. That ends up being 48 snatches at that weight. That's not a joke, though.
Yeah.
That adds up.
It does. Yeah. Yeah. So this one was, the idea was grip strength here, and then like the ability to transition from one grip to the next. How much can you go unbroken? Do you know when to take quick breaks? And it reminded me of a completely different, workout. And it was where basically, yeah, you're just trying to do 8 rounds of 3 different movements and just hold on. So, and it'd be a race. So I think that's what we're going to get here. Yeah, I'm excited to see like basically who can move the fastest on the snatch. And that was a point on there. This is, it was one, Adrian wanted to have dumbbells originally, but we weren't able to secure the dumbbells for this year. And so we did change it to a bar. And again, like, couldn't be happier.
This is a type of workout where, like, I wouldn't be surprised if the winner of this workout does singles throughout on the snatch.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're going to have to reset real quick, right?
If you can hang on to the pull-up bar, and you don't make any mistakes on the jump rope, and you're efficient with those singles, I could see that working out for some. But one of these guys are so good, and girls, like, someone's going to show me up. Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about anymore. We'll see. But I think this is a cool workout. Good workout or variation of this workout that anyone could do in their gym or program for the affiliate. Just modify the weights and the skills appropriately. And 8 round or 12 minutes. I mean, there's also people that will get time capped on this. And by the way, that's okay. When I used to do more programming for the affiliate, sometimes I would program time caps into workouts. Like, I wanted people in the affiliates to feel the pressure of the time cap sometimes, knowing that sometimes they would not be able to finish.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and so if anyone doesn't finish, they can blame me for the heavyweight snatch. That was my decision.
Let's see what else we got here. Survival pack. Sandbag weights will not be officially announced until the weekend of the event. 3 rounds, 18, 14 cattle ski, 18 sandbag front squats, 9 and 18 sandbag ground to overhead. Is that still something that you guys are working on, or is it known, but you just want to?
Yeah, so we just announced first things here on B.Friendly Fitness that, the weights are going to be 150, 70 pounds.
Bryson was in here. He was asking this question. I don't know if this was for this workout or not.
Yeah, so it's for this workout, right? So it'll be the sandbags, and it'll be 150 and 70 pounds.
Okay. Bryson loves the sandbags. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is the one.
He
So this
trains
is
in
one that's
Alaska.
sponsored by. This is sponsored by Mindless Labs. This workout here, and we're calling it, Survival Pack. And yeah, we're really excited to learn more about them because they're going to be teaching the Survival Pack, or these survival techniques that are any human can have access to just by doing grounding, right, earthing. There's a lot of ways that you can treat your own anxiety, depression, stress, just by a lot of different techniques that they have. So we're excited to learn more about that from them.
Yeah, maybe may even have her on at some point to talk more about it. So was meant talking with her earlier this week about maybe doing something like that.
Yeah.
We have Matterhorn here. This for the first part of this ring dip hold, that is brutal.
Yeah. So actually, yeah. So yeah, go ahead. Keep going, Brian. Sorry, I cut you off. What do you think? Why is it brutal? What do you think?
I just don't think people practice it. I used to. There was a couple years where I used to do this warm up. When I would go into the gym, I would just like kick up on the wall and hold a handstand for a minute. I would go hang on the pull up bar for a minute, and then I would support at the top of a ring dip for a minute, which took me a long time to be able to get to a minute. Can't do that probably now. But I would accumulate those times until I could like do that, and that was just like a little warm up that I would do to activate some muscles for gymnastics work. But I never really thought about like going to the bottom and holding like that for a while. However, before I could do ring muscle ups, I used to do, I don't even know what I would call them, like just receiving positions. I would start on the low rings and I would catch in that bottom position, stabilize for a couple seconds, come off. So like if there was a workout that had 3 rounds and 7 ring muscle ups in it, every round I would do 7 of those, receive, stabilize, come back down, receive, stabilize, come back down. But that was the closest I really ever got to like spending time in the bottom of the ring dip. And I have seen some people who've done it occasionally over the years, but not very many.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, this is where I really enjoy working with Adrian, and seeing these things where it's not just about like the competition itself, it's about building skills and accumulation of them. So we again yeah, it's going to be exciting to see how athletes adjust and how they adapt to to changes, to the unknown and the unknowable. And it's this originally, actually we wanted this to be an LSIT, but yeah, just didn't pan out. We decided to go against it. So again, food for thought for the future. But again, Adrian's always got some up his sleeve, and I just love the way that he thinks on trying to introduce new skills and it not just be about doing what's cool or sexy, if you will, trying to make it functional. So we'll see how people respond when they do this workout.
And I really like the second part of this. After you accumulate that, you have the sprint, 150-foot sprint, run down the field, burpee, broad jump back rack lunge, burpee, broad jump, and then run to the finish.
Yeah, it's exciting.
That's burpee broad jumps are things that they're difficult to incorporate into competitions because not everyone has really the space to necessarily do it. I did a high rocks one time and I thought that was like by far the easiest station, but a lot of people were suffering on that station.
On those, yeah.
That's just something that I practiced a lot when I used to coach high school football and soccer on the football field. I would have the guys do it and I would do it, because why not?
I have not done a high rocks event. That's you thought that was a great experience?
I did a co-ed team with a friend of mine from the gym, and the only thing I thought was weird about the men-women teams was that they had the men's weights for the sled, and it was pretty early on, and so it was like the man just kind of got buried by the sled. Like a couple of the girls could do it, but some of the girls like really struggled with the men's weight on the sleds. The sleds were kind of heavy anyway. Everything other than that I thought was fine. I haven't done a solo version, but I would do it again. I would do it if I did it again. I'd probably try to do like male pair, just because I thought that was a weird thing about the sled. And then the 100 wall balls at the end were with like the 14-pound ball.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So that was like a nice little
Well, let
Easy
me
to
know
get
if you
there.
need a partner. I haven't done one. That'd be
I better
fun.
start training. I better start running some more then.
Right. I think, yeah. And one note too, I think that is cool. And what we should see more even in events should be trying is I like how paying attention to the bottom of the ring dip is like giving attention to the skills that are actually needed to do those skills long term and be good at them. And so that's something that I don't know if people consider or not, but I'd like to consider that more in our programming and scaling is to we want to build our athletes up as well, right? We want to give them the skills to move through the divisions should they choose to in their life cycle of being an athlete.
I think there's definitely an element, and I think it shows through in the programming here. I think it's pretty apparent if you regularly are following Adrian in general that he does not neglect the foundation. He does not neglect the foundation of the hierarchical pyramid. He posts about nutrition as regularly as any high level athlete or coach in the space does, and in his training and the way that he programs is definitely reflective of kind of having some of those baseline things that allow for the higher expression of athleticism or strength.
Absolutely.
Here we have Final Summit. I'm assuming this is the last workout for all the divisions, and I love the name on the
Yeah.
first year of the Summit Games.
Yeah.
You get the Echo Bike, some running, ring dips, and some running, and then some legless rope climbs. And I don't know when the bottom of the ring hold shows up relative to the ring dips, but certainly could impact this a little bit, even if it's 2 days
Good.
later.
Good. Yeah. Good. So it'll be interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, you got the leg capacity there in the bike and the shuttle run, and how can we transition from one to the next? And do we know our capacity to go on the bike and then be able to not fall on our face in the sprint? And then yeah, what do those dips take out of our arms for those legless rope climbs? So it's going to be exciting to see. And does anyone see the difference from the bottom of the ring dip?
Yeah, there may be people that really struggle with that hold, but actually they can do the ring dips. But more than likely, if you're good at one, you'll be good at the other, especially if you're good at the hold. I don't know. I wonder if do you mind if I show the elite athletes that are competing?
No, I don't mind at all. And no, I don't mind at all. It's I was just laughing because there's still a surprise for the athletes in terms of programming, but yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about that now or not. We don't have to. So here are this is at least what I know, and every competition that I do, I'll pull this information for the athletes. Barkley Dale pulls the information from a massive database that we have. These are ranked are in order based on their strength of field rating.
Wow.
Um, this is a field rating on the right, or this is an overall rating is going to be relative to the worldwide population, and actually in this case, it's probably a little bit better than the field rating because the field rating basically is going to take the top guy and put him at 99 and then string everything else out from there. But a lot of the athletes in this field won't have a lot of data points outside of like opens and quarterfinals.
Gotcha.
So we can kind of see at the top for the men, at least, Drake Lewis, like a regular competitor over there, semifinal athlete. It's actually, he has listed here. I guess we have the data for all of the competitions of Iron Games that this will be his sixth time competing.
Yep.
And he won it last year. Yeah, so like this is pretty cool. We can see all
Yeah.
of the events that he's actually won in the competition. The worst event finish he's ever had, there was 15th in an event called Remember in 2020.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I like showing these sometimes because I don't think that people realize how insane of a resources that Barkley has built over the last 4 years.
This is cool. Yeah, this is awesome.
I mean, these will have their open ranks and quarterfinals ranks from this year. And you can, so in some cases you can see like big jumps up. Bryson was not as nearly as good in his open as he was in quarterfinals. He's just generally better with higher skills. Some people, they might have done one, they didn't do the other.
We got Chance, who's an OG. They're not too bad.
Chance Ramos, 34. I wonder if he's the oldest guy in this field. He is.
Yeah, he is.
Now,
Yeah.
I always like to check who's the oldest and the youngest. It looks like there's no teenagers though.
He's won it twice for the Iron Games. But
2019 and 21. Yeah.
yeah,
Fifth time doing it. So he missed last year.
yeah.
and you can see all the events that he's won. So yeah, those are kind of the top guys: Drake Lewis, Mike Evans, Derek Lukowski, Nico Flores, Bryson Del Monte. Those are the 5 guys that I probably know the best. They're most recently like the best kind of
Yeah.
competitors that are out there, and they're all 24 to 28, so they're still probably getting better.
Yeah. I'm interested in Jared Miller.
Okay, yeah. Well, now, we don't have hardly any data on him. He's from Hawaii, I guess.
I've seen some of his stuff. I'm interested.
Okay, Jared Miller. We'll be watching for sure. So, and then we'll flip over to the women real quick here. Chloe Wilson. She also won it last year, but last year was her first year competing there.
Yeah, last year was her first year competing there.
She won like half the workouts.
Yeah, she won half the. Yes, did she win though?
First place, 2023.
Yes, yep, she did. Then Rachel, it was Rachel that was 2022. Natea, and then Natea.
I just actually heard about some stuff about Rachel Noel very recently, but I'll tell you why when I get out there.
Okay, yeah,
Good
Rachel's
stuff.
awesome. Rachel's been, she's a great athlete and just a go-getter for sure. Natea's been coming for a long time. Super cool. Her and her husband Nico have been coming for some time. Rochelle's really cool.
Nico messaged me when I posted yesterday that I was moving. He's like, "You moving to Salt Lake, bro?"
Yeah, would be so excited, I bet. They just started working with Adrian, so I'm really excited to see them progress. And I know they had some interesting experiences with coaches that weren't so good recently. So, but with, they're really excited about working with Adrian. Rochelle is cool because she started in an intermediate division when she first did the Iron Games a few years ago, and now she's in the elite and has been doing all the big competitions. So that's way cool. And then Brooke Austin, Jackie Soto, Stephanie Bernison, who's done media for us and for the Buttery Bros. And so there's a lot of cool girls in the elite division, a good group, and I'm excited. It'll be fun.
Inside information, apparently, Caden Carpenter is going to smash the 150-pound sandbag.
I'm on the lookout.
And Bryson's loves it, I guess. Loves being stroked, I guess. Historic Fitness, where is this comp for people who just turning in late, maybe?
Yeah, so this is in Salt Lake City, Utah. This is the Summit Games. We previously were the Iron Games in Cedar City, Utah, 3 hours south of there. Moved up to Salt Lake to be the closer airport, closer to a lot of our community that was coming down to Cedar anyways, and be in the new facility out in the Zions Bank Training Center.
And we will be streaming the entire competition. I moved this week, so I am flying in Friday morning. I'm basically going to head straight to the venue, head straight to the booth, throw on the headset, and just start talking. It'll be streaming on Functional Vision's YouTube. I should probably pull that up.
Yeah,
we streamed there last year. Feliz is the guy who's responsible for that, and he does stream a lot of competitions in Europe.
Yeah, great guy to work with. Love Feliz. It's a lot of fun, and he does a good job.
He's got a really cool system. It more or less allows for, at least last year, it allowed for me to direct by choosing different camera angles and presets while also commentating from primarily still cameras, but then a few times he would have a roaming camera as well. And it was pretty good. I mean, last year I was going back and looking. I don't know if I'll find it in here, but there were 3,000 to 4,000 people that watched every day that we did last year.
Yep.
And some of these competitions in Europe, it's interesting. When I was looking through, he gets a huge range of views. There's a lot around 1,000, but then there were some that were like 12,000, 13,000.
Yeah.
This competition, the Toulouse Throwdown, was extremely popular. This Canada Showdown, very popular. That's Margot Massette right there.
I think I like how, from an event organizer standpoint, it just seems like it's pretty flexible and user friendly, right? Yeah. So just getting people on cameras and getting, angles that will, add more to just the one shot, so he does a good job.
So here's some of the footage from last year. I'm just randomly scrolling through, but we'll be doing it again with him. And I'll be on the commentary. I might bring some guests on, but you should be able to watch throughout the weekend. of course, I'll do my best to represent the athletes as well as I can. Obviously, for the elite athletes, we have some more data that we can pull and some context we can give to who they are. But there's some athletes that I don't know a lot about, and so constantly learning. Hopefully, helping you guys to learn and follow along. I think that some of the workouts are going to be pretty challenging for some of these guys, but I also think that in that vein, that it's very much what you were talking about early on, which is, this life is about continuing to grow, continuing to find opportunities to push forward, continuing to put yourself in situations where you don't necessarily know how you're going to respond or how you're going to fare. And that obviously can happen in a competition. It obviously can happen in life. And I think that by doing these types of training styles and competitions, that we are better preparing ourselves for the unexpected things that inevitably will happen in our lives.
Absolutely. A litmus test, if you will, preparation.
So it's competition week. I know you have a ton of stuff going on. I appreciate you giving us an hour of your time to kind of give us a little bit of the background of where this competition's come from, where you've come from, what the kind of outside of the gym perspective you bring to your community, and then walking through some of the workouts, sharing us some of the thoughts, breaking some news, and maybe giving a little bit of insights into some athletes that people will get a chance to watch this weekend, at least in the elite division. There's lots. Do you know offhand how many different divisions and how many athletes you have this year?
So we have 225 athletes, 20 divisions. Yeah. And thank you, Brian. Thank you so much for having me on and having us on here about the Summit Games to talk about it, and for using your platform to help educate and come out to the event and bring your energy and your knowledge and professionalism out there. We really appreciate it.
Well, I'm excited to see you in a couple of days. Got a big hug for you.
Yeah.
And I'll keep my voice ready to go.
Awesome.
All right,
Man.
Brigham.
Excited. Travel safely.
Have a great night, man. I'll see you on Friday.
See you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you.
Brigham Nielson, event director, organizer for the Summit Games. I'll be out there in Salt Lake City on Friday. We'll be streaming it Friday, Saturday, Sunday on Functional Vision. Looking forward to it. It'll be my second year out there. The YouTube channel was Functional Vision. I'll pull it up here just one more time for you. There it is. Functional Vision right there. Yeah. So should be cool. And yeah, I've been moving the last 2 days. I am pretty tired, so I'm gonna go take a shower and get some sleep. And then I got some logistics to figure out before heading out to Salt Lake on Friday morning from Chicago. So thank you guys for tuning in. And hopefully you'll be able to tune in and watch some of the competition this weekend. We will see you guys on the road. And as always, be friendly, our friends.